Alright guys, we got a little self-inflicted wound here for you today. I was trying to degree the cams on this 5.4 4-valve forward engine. Got this one degreed. At some point I was using, let me find my little clamp here. I was using clamps similar to this to keep the tension in the meantime, because you got to take this gear off and file the key in it to change the positioning of it depending on which side you need to go. This block has been decked, and this head has probably been decked too. The head's had some valve work done to them. They're a set of heads I bought, so I'm not exactly sure what was done to them, but I did not make up for any of that in head gasket because I wanted extra compression. So the cams are closer to the crankshaft than nominal, so that sort of retards the cam. So I was having to grind in some advance. At some point along the way, I had this one clamped as well. It fell off. I didn't think it jumped time, but it must have jumped time. And I kind of realized it when I was turning the engine over, because it got to a point where it didn't really want to turn. I didn't force it, but it doesn't take much. There's a good bit of mechanical advantage right there. So you can see when I noticed it wasn't turning, I had put a little nick into you can barely even feel it. A little nick into the top of the piston with the intake and the exhaust valve. Part of that is I don't really have the right tools to degree these. I wasn't going to degree them at first. So I had the heads fully assembled. All the followers are in it. So I should have been more careful watching those chains. It didn't seem to nip any other valves, but it did. As you can see, this intake valve is pretty bent right here. Badly bent. So sometimes you just got to slow down. I wasn't in a super big hurry doing this, but I did get in a bit of a hurry at a time because I was just sort of coming out here working on it when I could, an hour or two at a time. Take the gear off, grind on the gears, put them back on, degree them in, see where I was at. So in the end, you got to be real careful about these, making sure that anytime that chain gets loose, it doesn't slip just a gear or two. Or do the recommended and have all the followers out. I hope you guys enjoy. Well, friends, this here is a big oopsie. Big one. Yeah, right there. It's not very... Slipped on my hands. Pretty good bend in it. I don't think there's any saving that one. Alright guys, I'm set up here in my Bridgeport, and I'm gonna see if I can't straighten this valve. So I got it clamped in a V-block. Got a piece of some kind of G10 or something on top so that I don't damage it with this clamp. And as you can see, it is, get the right angle, pretty bent. And I'll see if I can get on this dial indicator here for you guys. So we're at the top. Let me find, there's 0. So as I'm going through the cave here, the concave of the valve, but coming out of that now, you're gonna see this thing run. There's 100. It's about 160 thou out of parallel, or out of perpendicular across the face. So that's going to be my measures. I'm actually going to try to see if I can get that thing straight up and down. So I'll set you up and show you what I'm going to try. So okay, I've got a punch in my chuck here. Tighten this chuck down real quick. My chuck locked. It's kind of hard on the Bridgeport. It's not really a press, but we're not pressing with a ton of force, and I'm going to use the table to work the table up. And I'll see if I can get you guys close enough here without messing up. See if this thing will zoom in a little bit. I'm going to work the table up. And it's going to start bending on that valve, which this thing's probably going to slip up in the chuck. Actually overcoming my... I have to run the spindle all the way up. Do it that way. Use a little piece of cardboard to sort of protect the edge of that valve and give it something to slide on. We'll check that. Do a little more. Take it out and spin it. All right, the hard part is this valve necks down just a little bit, and it bent mostly in the neck. So I've got a parallel here. It's a straight edge I'm using, so I can lay the valve on top of it and roll it, make sure most of the stem is straight. I do have a little bit of a fudge up in the stem, a couple thou probably, that I need to work on, but I've chucked it back farther here, and I'm going to see if I can't bend it closer to where it needs to be bent. That looks real good, I tell you what. Not perfect, but we're close. I'm just looking for the biggest gap. Actually means I went just a little too far. Alright guys, I think that's probably as good as this thing is ever going to get. It runs pretty true, probably within 4 or 5 thou. If I actually pull on the valve, I can't get a 2 thou shim in anywhere. So if I had an actual spring in here, it probably wouldn't leak The valve head's flexing around to find the seat. It's not perfect. Actually, with the valve turned up top here, it looks like maybe there's a little bit of a gap. Definitely if I just ease it in, there's about a 2/1000 gap there. The reason I'm doing this is because these are oddball valves. These are like 37.5 diameter valves. Hard to come by. And they're necked just a little bit. I'm not even sure who makes the valve. No markings on it. I bought them in the head, so I don't know that I'm going to run them. I still might just go ahead and buy a stock 37mm valve, throw in here. Yeah, it'll throw that one valve flow off, but in the grand scheme of things, probably not the end of the world. So if I can buy one valve, I'll probably go that route. This, I think you could definitely lap this in and take away a couple thou worth of high spot that's sort of holding this thing up just slightly, and run this in a normal engine all day long. I don't think you'd have any problem. Being this is more performance oriented, I'm gonna go ahead and try to find me a new valve, I think. But hope you guys enjoy. Like, subscribe, always more to come.